On this stage, I would like to tell you everything how to prepare the Teflon floss in an easy and a quick way. Teflon floss is the unique Teflon wedge, and you can create it by yourself. To do that, you need just two things. You need the dental floss and a piece of Teflon. At the beginning, I know that it's not so easy to create it by yourself because you need some skills and experience. But if you've got it, then to prepare the ready Teflon floss, you need just like 40, maybe to 50 seconds. The good news about the Teflon floss is the fact that at this moment we started the research to provide you with the ready product, and this will make all the technique much easier because you will always have ready to use Teflon flosses. But I hope that the whole project will finish in 1 year when we can get the full prototype of the ready wedge. Till that moment, you can always create the Teflon floss by yourself. How to do that? You need the piece of the dental floss and a piece of Teflon, around 15 centimeters of the Teflon tape. To create the ready Teflon floss, you need a floss, and on the floss you have to make the knot. And making a knot is a really important part of the Teflon floss technique. The knot is a very important part of the Teflon floss because it will eliminate a risk of sliding the Teflon from the floss. And it's much easier to scroll the Teflon around the floss if you've got the knot on it. How to make the best knot on the dental floss? You can see it exactly on the film. So the knot is responsible for, first of all, for eliminating the risk of sliding the Teflon off from the floss and to make the scrolling of the Teflon much easier. However, depending on the floss that you will use to this technique, you have to create bigger or smaller knot. The knot can't be very small because then there will be always a risk of sliding the Teflon from the floss. This is why you have to create pretty big knot on the floss. How you can do this? So the best and the easiest way is to make just a simple normal knot. When you make the traditional knot, first you will create a loop, and then through this loop you will pull the one end of the floss. But to create a bigger knot, then the best option to do that is to place the finger inside the loop and make the 8 or less circles with your fingers to get the bigger knot. And then you can pull the end of the floss through the loop. This will provide you with the pretty big knot that will eliminate the risk of sliding the Teflon from the knot. Another step is to scroll the Teflon around the knot. As I said before, you need at least 15 centimeters of the Teflon tape. How to scroll the Teflon around the knot you can see on the film. You have to remember that at the end you have to create a shape of the wedge. And this is a very important part, because when you have to create the unique wedge, you need a very thin part, at least 1 centimeter long at the one end, and pretty thick part on the knot. The thin part is responsible for going through the contact point, because it has to meet the second Teflon floss. So it must go from one and the second side and connect in the middle of the cavity. This is why you need the pretty long thin part. And the thick part that you will create on the knot is responsible for blocking the Teflon flosses from going through the contact point. You need a little bit experience to create the Teflon floss, but I can guarantee you that if you learn how to do it, that will be your #1 technique when we talk about the wedging and the matrix adaptation.